Hey, shalom, shalom. Nakna wa ha'ipar yasha Allah hawalakim la'atam kol shabuai ba'aracha wa kakshoy b'shma'al shah. Hey, with the Hebrew Israelites coming to you week in and week out through the Spirit and power of B'shma'al shah to preach you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Repent ye for the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Call halayim la Yahweh b'Hashem Yahweh Shah b'Hashem Rcha Kodash wa mashana kabadim zakoyim na wa malakim shah yasha Allah zakoyim Rcha gadawal. Wachasa, Washalawam, Wabarakim, Labachaya, Shakawiya, Shalawam. So all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which means He exists. Bahashem in the name Yahweh Shai, He delivers. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Israel, the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and mercy, peace, and blessings to the elect of the nation of Israel, Shalom, which means peace. So I just want to do elaboration on the last video that I did, which was entitled Differences in the Lashwan Wa Aramaic, which is Aramaic. All right. Just want to start at Baruch Ashith, chapter 31 and verse 43. Genesis 31 and 43, it says, so this is a conversation between Laban, who speaks Aramya, all right, and Yaquab, Jacob, who speaks Hebrew, Lashwan Kodash, by Baryath in Hebrew, all right. So this is Genesis 31 and 43. It says, and Laban answered and said unto Jacob, these daughters are my daughters, and these children are my children, and these cattle are my cattle, and all that thou seest is mine. And what can I do this day unto these my daughters, or unto their children which they have borne? Now therefore, come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And this is a conversation between Yaquab and Laban in Hebrew means white or whiteness. All right, I'm going to go to it. So Laban is white, all right? And so moving on, they're having a conversation, all right? And being that Laban speaks Aramaic or Aramaic, you see, and Jacob speaks by a Baryath in Hebrew, you know, one of them would have to have known or were familiar with one another's language because they're both speaking to each other, all right? So it says, now therefore come thou, let us make a covenant, I and thou, and let it be for a witness between me and thee. And Yaquab took a stone and set it up for a pillar. And Yaquab said unto his brethren, gather stones. And they took stones and made an heap, and they did eat there upon the heap. And Laban called it Yagar Shahad Watah. All right. And when you go into this word, it says Yagar Shahad Watah. It says witness heap. All right. And this is in Aramaic. You see at the bottom in the Strong's definition. All right. And going back, it says Jacob called it Galide. All right. And that means witness heap as well. When you go into the definition of it, it says witness heap. All right. And that's going to be in Hebrew. All right. So basically what happened was, after the Tower of Babel, which is the Tower of Babel, all right, where the Lord confounded the languages, the Alahayim came down and confounded the languages. That's where all the different languages came from, you see. And you had the righteous line that had the Ibaryath. All right, those are the ones that had the Lashwan Kodash, you see. But in addition to that, it was languages that that sounded somewhat similar to the Lashwan. See, for example, Arabic, all right, who the progenitor of the Arabic peoples is Yashama Allah, all right, who is Ishmael, all right. So that sounds similar. And for example, you got words like Barak. All right, that's in Arabic, which means blessings. All right. You also got words like Malik. All right, which that in Arabic means king or ruler. In Hebrew, it means king. All right. Also in Arabic, you got words like lahim or lahaim, if I'm saying that right. But in Hebrew, you would call it lachem. All right, which would be bread, food or meat, all right, which in the Arabic is food. All right, so it's languages that sound similar to Lashwan, but the difference between the Lashwan and those languages is that the Lashwan is a purer tongue. All right, everything else they kind of broke off and did what they did, like in English. You got the word lad. All right, that comes from the Hebrew word yalad, which means young child or boy, or young boy, salak, be young boy. All right. But yeah, in this situation, or in this transaction, they both were talking to each other. So one of them had to know the other language. All right, but the two languages, again, the Lashwan is pure, you see, but the similarities in the Aramaic, which is the Aramaic. All right. And a lot of times, like I mentioned in the last video, Christians, so-called Christians, like to say, "Oh, the Lord spoke Aramaic," but He spoke. They try to negate the fact that He spoke Lashwan Kodash. All right. And I think I got a tab pulled up that actually goes into that, but nevertheless, just going into these two, Laban spoke the Aramaic, and Yaakov spoke the Lashwan Kodash. All right, and I just want to go into some examples of how they are different. All right, so I want to go to Yeshaya chapter 36. Oh no, I don't want to go to that. I want to go to Baruch chapter 10 and verse 22. Because those that came after Aram, they spoke Aramaic. All right, so this is Baruch chapter 10, verse 22 says, "And the children of Sham, Elam, and Ashur, and Arphak, the children of Sham," all right, and it lists them, Elam and Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. All right, and those that descend from Aram, they spoke they spoke Aramia. All right, because he was the progenitor of the Syrian or Aramaean people, as it says right here. All right, but it's going into some similarities. This is I'm gonna go to this article. Well, they have the Aramaic pulled up. They got some information on it. They're both Shemitic languages. All right, and then down here it says Shemitic speaking people, the language of the Armenians. All right, and then right here it says that Aramaic was the language of Yahushua, and this is false, because if you go into, they have like a little let me see if I got it pulled up right here. If you go into this, starting at the creation, it said the whole earth was of one speech. Let's get that. I'm gonna go to that. This is Baruch chapter 11 verse 1. It says, "And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech," and that being the Lashwan Kodash. All right, but just the point I wanted to go to, being that it started there, you had Sham and those that came from Sham. All right, those that came after Aram, they spoke the Syrian, the Syriac, Aramia or Aramaic language. All right, but if you go down in Sham's line, Yahushua derived from the Sham line. All right, going from Sham to Abraham to Isaac to Jacob. All right, he was in that righteous line. All right, everybody else had they different languages, you see, but the line that stayed the same was Sham's line down to Yaquab, Jacob. All right, and just to prove that those that from Sham, from the creation, was the Lashwan. All right, and from that the Lord dealt with each line, but it proves it right there where it says Eber. All right, Eber means which those that descended from Eber, they spoke the Hebrew. All right, they spoke the Lashwan Kodash, and then on down, it went down to Abraham, and he spoke the Lashwan to Isaac to Jacob. So the righteous line, they all the language was always kept with that righteous line. All right, whereas like with the different, when it branches off and stuff, that's where you see it starts to the language starts to change. Case in point, Aram. All right, we're gonna see some of the similarities. All right, now let's go back. Oh, well, I wanted to go to one of these articles. It says, "What is the significance of Syria, Aram in the Bible?" No, I didn't want to get this one. This is one. It says the difference between Hebrew, Ibarioth, and Aramaic, Aramia. It says Hebrew is the language of the Hebrews. All right. A simple starting point, it should be clear that these are two different languages, being that the Aramaic it's not the pure tongue. It says Hebrew is one language, Aramaic is another. Hebrew is the language of the Hebrews. Aramaic is the language of the Armenians. All right. The book of Barashith speaks of a man who was called Shum, from whom the Shumites are descendant. Shum had two sons, one named Eber. Let me see if I still got to pull it up. Shum had two sons. What is this? That's off right there. Like, that's off. It says Shum had two sons, one Eber and another called Aram. So Shum did have a son named Aram, but Eber is comes down the line. Ibar. All right. It says, as a matter of fact, it says it in Genesis 10 and 22, if I'm not mistaken. It says, from Aram came the Armenians and the Aramaic language. The Hebrew people are well known to all. They are also the people of Israel. And we're going to skip down some. It says, I'm going to keep going. It says, the Armenians, the sons of Aram, were a people who lived in the region of Syria. The country called Aram in the Hebrew biblical text is translated into Western languages as Syria. The language of and eat the meat, chew out the bones. I did see, if you go to, I'm gonna go to it right now. Genesis 10 and 22. So yeah, Shum had Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. So that article was off, but just I'm gonna skip through it. Some of the similarities of it is it says Aramaic and Hebrew are distinct but similar languages, like English and Dutch. Now, I don't know about English and Dutch, but I do know about Spanish and Italian and what the other one was, it Portuguese. They all pretty much are very similar. So it's the same with the Aramaic and the Hebrew, but being that the Hebrew is the pure tongue. All right. Now, I don't want that article no more. I'm gonna go to this. The language of Yahushua was Hebrew. All right. Because he came from that righteous line and started from creation. That was the language of all the earth. There's a point I want to get out of this, though. It says similarities. Both Hebrew and Aramaic belong to the Shemitic language groups, so they are in the same language family. Every language comes from Ibarioth, all right, the Lashwan, all right. But again, the three that I know of are the Arabic and Aramaic. They have a lot of words in common as the Lashwan. And that's because they borrow some word. They have what you would call like loan words, all right. And here they got some examples. Well, I'm gonna go to some examples in the scriptures. So let's get some examples. This is Daniel Allah chapter 2 and verse 4 and verse 5. It says, then spake the Chaldeans to the king in Saraic, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will shew thee the interpretation. And so like the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. So when you click on this, Saraic, that is Aramaic or Aramia. Aramaic language, the language of Aram, Aramaic. The Syrian language, Syrian tongue, and the Syrian language. All right, so that's what Saraic is. And I just wanted to get some examples of this. All right, this is a word they basically share in common. Would be the word dream, which is chalam. You go to this, it says Aramaic. All right, but the base word from a root corresponding to chalam. All right, and again, this is in the Aramaic, but they got that from the Hebrew. Chalam, which means to dream. Another example is going to be Ezra chapter 7 and verse 12. Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 12, it says, Artaxerxes, king of kings, unto Isaiah the priest, a scribe of the Lord, a scribe of the law of the Most High of heaven, perfect peace, and at such a time. All right, let's click into this. It says, all right, they do have pretty much the same type root word. All right, keep that in mind. So going to the word heaven, it says, all right, this is in the Aramaic. All right, it says Shemayan. All right, and that's how you would say it in Aramaic. All right, and going back to the conversation that Laban and Yaquab was having, one of them would have to have had understanding of the other language. All right, but these they share the same root word. This is a Shemayan. That's how you would say it in the Aramaic, and then in Ibariath is Shemayim. All right, another example of similarities and differences. Let's see. Isaiah, nah. I don't have this one written down in my notes, but another one that I could grab is Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 11, because this verse isn't completely, the whole thing is in Aramaic. This is Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 11. Jeremiah 10 and 11, it says, Thus shall ye say unto them, the gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. All right, and let's click into it. All right, so you click into this one. It says Aramaic. That's also Aramaic, but it has a Hebrew origin. It says this one. Slop. Go back to it. It says Aramaic. All right, this one as well. Aramaic. Aramaic. This one's in Aramaic as well. This one's Aramaic. All right. And I'm going to some key points for this one as well. Aramaic. This one's it. Aramaic. That one as well. All right, and this one. So just going into the words. All right. Words like that. Okay, when you go into this, and you click on it, it says da or daya. All right, it says who, which, that. All right, so that, and this verse was applied to that. All right, so when you click on this, this will be da'a, which this means this, one, to, another. All right, this is the Aramaic word da'a. But in Ibariath, it will be za. All right, it will be za. See, this one, that, the one, the other, another, such. All right, so the root word is za, but you would say it differently in Aramaic. All right, and this was going to be the language of those that descended from Aram. All right, and Laban, he spoke the Aramaic. All right, so going back to that word, it was daya. It derives from za, because the da'a comes from za. All right, but going back, another example was Shemayan. The actual word for this is Shemayim, but again in the Aramaic it will be Shemayan. All right, and then this right here is another example. It says and the earth. All right, but this word right here is arak, and we know that to say it in Hebrew it will be aratazah. All right, so let's go into this. It says arak. It says by transmutation for Arai. It says the earth. The earth. All right, and then the transmutation one is H772, which is Arai. It says earth, world, ground, corresponding to Aratazah. And that's the word for earth, Aratazah. But the word they use they were using for earth, those that spoke the Aramaic, was let me see what they was using for the earth was Arai. They was using Arai, which came from the Hebrew word Aratazah. All right. As well as Arak. Those both of those words come from Aratazah. All right, because they both mean earth. Now going to just to prove the point, because it's similarities in the two, but it's a difference in them. And just to prove that point, we're gonna go to Isaiah chapter 36 and verse 11. It says, "Then said Elikim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshek, speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it, and speak not unto us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall." All right, now I'm going to go into this. Wait, yeah, that was the point. Basically, those, you had the Lashawan, you see, but you also had that the Aramya, which was a derivative of the Lashawan, you see. So you had some groups of people, you had peoples back in those days that spoke the Lashawan, that understood Aramya, you see, and those are some of the key differences. Just they got the same root word and base word, but the Lord always kept his righteous line with the language, you see, and those that didn't have the righteous line with their language, they started using different words, and that's how it the different languages change, you see, because again, the Arabic and the Aramaic, they have the same base word as the Hebrew, but they started to add different words, use loaner words and stuff like that. All right. I brought this that I was edifying though. Call her light La Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shah Bashim Kakadash. Hey, double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that told me this truth and rule well. And much respect to you, brothers out there. Much respect to you, brothers out there, presenting this truth with all righteousness and sincerity. Shalom, shalom.